Welcome to Poland Daily History with me, Nicholas Richardson. In the previous episode, we started to discuss the love story between Wiesława Pajdek and Jerzy Śmiechowski, two political prisoners who met in 1947 while jailed in the infamous Bekotow prison in Warsaw. Wiesława was freed of the charges and released from prison for more than a year, but was then rearrested. In this episode, we will discuss how she coped with the situation.
On the outside, Wiesława Pajdek, her premonitions had been correct. She was retaken again, put in a jail, put through new interrogations, which she handled quite poorly, as in mentally once she had gotten out once from prison, being put in there a second time
must be awful.
Even worse. So after three weeks in May 1950, she started a hunger strike. She demanded to receive a trial, a sentence, and to hear what had happened to her father in the Soviet Union. Instead of receiving that, they started force-feeding her quite violently.
Broke two of her teeth.
Broke two of her teeth, which she would have problems with for the rest of her life. This torture would go on for a while until she also received a prison sentence in 1951. She was also sentenced to 6 years in prison, just as Jerzy Śmiechowski had been. She was sentenced for taking part in a political group between 1945 and 1947. That was the PPS-VRN party and military underground organization that had been associated with the socialist movement during the Second World War. The communists claimed that they planned to overturn the democratical system in Poland, which of course was non-existent. But that was the official sentence.
But in a funny sort of way, I think Jerzy was actually not displeased that she was back in prison. He sort of felt that she was less likely to wander somewhere else.
Yes.
Sounds terrible, but I mean, that was his feeling.
Initially, he didn't find out that she had been put back in prison. His father kept the news from him, as he felt that it was a risk that he could break down mentally and possibly even commit suicide in prison if he found out. But a year later, when he finally told him, Śmiechowski didn't confess immediately, but later on he admitted that he knew it was a horrible thing, but he felt some sense of relief that this person who he believed was the love of his life was no longer in a position to find somebody else. He knew that he had a few years left on his prison sentence, so did she, and that they would probably leave prison more or less within the same time period. So he had hopes that their relationship could continue. And it did continue in prison, but through letters. Now, Śmiechowski was actually released earlier on in 1953 in March. Just after 2 or 3 weeks, he sent a letter to the warden and demanded a visit to Miss Pajdek. This was the first time that they saw each other, but it was still under very difficult circumstances.
There was a sort of screen between them.
Some type of mesh, or that they could see each other's contours, but not really much more than that. But at least they could speak to each other and hear each other's voices for the first time. Śmiechowski didn't wait. He knew they had little time to speak. They only received 15 minutes. But he made the most of it, and he yelled out, Wiesława, will you marry me? Life's ahead of us. She nodded and agreed. After that, he returned home, and they started preparing for a wedding, which took place in the Grudziądz prison the month thereafter, in April, on April 9th. The wedding was, as you can imagine, a wedding in a Stalinist prison being quite grim. Śmiechowski had his father as his wedding witness. Miss Pajdak had one of the, not sure what the name is for, a female correctional officer, I guess, as her witness. Later they were taken back to the cell where she had a post-marriage party with 3 of her cellmates.
Adam, I'm just going to have to stop you there. The clock has defeated us, but we'll be back to discuss this. There we are. I've had to stop Adam almost in mid-sentence, defeated by the clock as usual, but we'll be back next time to continue the story. So do join us then, again, on Poland Daily History. Thank you for watching.